All right, so here we are. All right, so welcome everybody. This is episode 26 of Storycomic Presents, and I have with us, I'm talking to Casey, and I've been practicing for the last 10 minutes to say your name correctly, so I'm just going to stick with Casey. So, so I don't embarrass myself too much. Kenechukwu. Right? No, Kenechukwu. Yeah, this way we're gonna. That's right. This way we'll stick with Casey. It's easier that way. So Casey is award-winning, very much acclaimed board game designer from Nigeria, and I gotta say, you know, you are probably one of the most famous board game designers in the board game designing world, especially for the fact that the last count I wrote down, correct me if I'm wrong, you've designed 23 games. Is that correct?
26
games. Okay.
I want to be humble about it.
Yeah. I mean, people we've talked to in the past, they're still working on their first game or their second game, and you now have 26 games that you have designed, marketed, and are actually selling. And these games, they can find them on your shop, on your website at NIBCARD Games, correct? NIBCARDgames.com.
Yes,
yeah. So before we kind of jump into it, we for some of the people that might be listening to this or who are watching this, who might want to kind of learn more about your background, can you just kind of give people kind of like a quick history of, you know, how did Casey get into designing board games, and then we'll just launch from there. So go ahead and introduce yourselves and give people a background.
Okay. Thank you so much, Barney, and thank you as well for inviting me to Storycomic. Okay. I think a brief profile about what I do is just a board game designer. I think that's, I keep telling people I'm just a board game designer, but I ventured into board game out of boredom. I had no idea what it was. I had not seen much people play foreign games. We just had the regular old classic, you know, Scrabble, Monopoly, Ludo, Snake and Ladder, Draft, you know, those popular games. I think those were the same thing that I saw, and I'm not even sure if I like all of them, but that was my background. But during a certain period in higher institution, there was this strike, and a lot of people were bored, and a lot of people, I had a very close friend that really, really was bored, and I designed a game without knowing what it was. So I think that from there, it kind of all started, and then joined an NGO, and as a volunteer in the program, we had young people from UK, from Kenya, from Nigeria. So the mix of culture also contributed. So I saw new games that I'd never seen before, and you know, being that I designed one out of boredom, and then also being in an environment that promoted, you know, playing other games than the old ones that were already in Nigeria. So I think that was the perfect mix for all the things that kickstarted. So from designing game, I started thinking, now I want people to play this game. So now I had to start thinking of how to make them, because I couldn't afford to, you know, make them in China or in any other country. So I started watching YouTube to find out how to make these games that I've designed. Now, after YouTube and after making them, I started thinking, now, how do I actually get people to play these games? So I think everything that we've created so far in the past 6 years is out of need. And it just started from one simple game, and they started thinking of all the other things that has to be done, or all the other structures that has to be in place for this game to eventually arrive on people's table, and then for this game to also be enjoyed. So from designing one game, people started requesting, and then more inspirations from the environment, from games, from every other thing started coming up.
So talk to us a bit about that. You actually, looking at your games, and I got to, let everybody know, go to NIBCARDgames.com. Talk to us a bit about, for instance, I'm looking at a couple of your new games, like yeah, Irinajo. Tell us about that one.
Okay, Iriajo is actually Yoruba for something around safe journey. So Iriajo was simply to so when I design game, there are a lot of things that I think about almost at the same time. So I'm thinking about the target audience. I'm thinking about how, which are Nigerians, how the first priority is to be able to introduce them to modern games. So then, but we also try, in the early days, in the early designs, we also try to not take them away totally from the things that they are used to. So the concept of dice rolling in Ludo, and how you have to roll and get six. Look, a lot of people are so used to it. So that's the mix of it. But Iriajo is a game that attempts to show the 6 geopolitical zones in Nigeria and the mode of transportation that, in my opinion, are very, very, very common in those areas, or to get to those regions. So we have the southeast, the southwest, the southeast, the southwest, the south-south, the north-central, the northeast, the northwest. So that is what is represented, but in a fantasy kind of way. So it doesn't show the realities, because that's not what the game is about. The game is more focused on the mode of transportation. So on that, you now see that, oh, for this part of Nigeria, you most likely would be able to use a boat to travel. And then in this part of Nigeria, you're most likely to use a bicycle, or in this part of Nigeria, you're most likely to, of course, in all the places, you can use all of the modes of transportation, but they are the ones that are predominant. And that's what Iriajo tries to show. Like I said, it's more of when a Nigeria sees a game now that is called Iriajo. Now, if that person is Yoruba, which is a language spoken by over 50 million people in the world, they already begin to take ownership. And then when they are rolling the dice, they are used to playing Ludo, and now they're seeing, oh, and then the funny thing is that on the board, we named them in a way that if you're Nigerian, you will know that, oh, this is the place. So for instance, the Caliphate is in Sokoto State. And then so we named the Northwest Caliphate Town. So you just kind of link it. And then Lagos, of course, we call it Ocean Island, right? But because there is Victoria Island in Lagos. And then for Southeast, we called it Uphill. And that's because there's Enugu, a state in Southeast, and it literally means uphill in English. So, and then for Abuja, we called it the North Central. We called it Central City because the capital of the country is in that region. So that's what we're able to do. And then for River State, for Riverside, which is the south side. So all the things we try to do is for people, when they see it, they begin to take ownership of that game, and hopefully inspires people to come into the industry as well.
So what would you say the first game you designed? What was that? Which one was that? Was that 17 Steps?
Oh, Ukubua.
Okay.
Ukubua was actually funny. The name, it was a misspelled Swahili name for greatness. So at the time, it was the first game I designed in 2013.
So the first game you designed, you said it was in Swahili, which is from East Africa. Was that what was the reason for having that named after having the game that you designed named after from an East African term instead of doing something based off of your country of Nigeria?
So designing the game was more of a Nigerian experience. So I was thinking what a life for a young person, a young Nigerian would be. At the time, even up till now, I like to immerse myself in more like leadership, creativity, all those kind of motivational talks at the time. So I started thinking, what is the life cycle of a young Nigerian? What is most likely to be? So from the learning stage, the trial stage, the building stage, the philanthropy stage, and all, and the challenges that come out of it. And so that was in 2013. But after the year 2013, I never looked back at the cardboard again where I sketched those after playing it for the first time. until I was sponsored for a training in Nairobi in 2015. And that was it was an eye opener. I saw that young people, about 23 people from 19 different African countries, and doing amazing stuff. I think that meeting was really something I needed at the time, at that point in my life. And it was really, I'm not sure if I can overemphasize that meeting. We still all keep in touch up till now, but so from that experience, I knew I wanted to remind myself, those things, those commitments I already made for myself in that training. So I had to name it one language that I know I learned in Nairobi. I learned a couple of others, but I wanted to name it Ukubwa. And the funny thing was, after I had printed the game, and then a Kenyan now told me, "Hey, I'm not sure that is the correct spelling." And I was like, you know what? let it stick then. Let it stick. Maybe its own new word. So I think the U after B wasn't supposed to be there. But I think I might have added my own Igbo kind of thing in the whole pronunciation, and then bam, we got to Kubwa. It's actually a nice game. If you play it, you begin to learn some of the challenges. And how to escape those challenges as your life progresses.
So what would you tell somebody? So if you have somebody who's listening or watching this, what would you tell them is the best way to, what's the first good, what's a good introductory game to NIBCARD Games? What would be a good introductory game that you'd say, if you're going to buy one of my games or two of my games, these are the one or two that I want you to start with?
Okay, permit me to just put them in 3 categories.
Okay.
Thank you. So if you're looking for something educative, I would recommend Lukuluku Map. And this is because, like I said, I recently resigned from a job where I was working on education projects. So I tried to create education games for schools. So that is that Lukuluku Map. But if you're looking for a party game where you probably organize game night and you have 10 to 20 people coming and want to keep them busy, I would recommend Concentration. That is a mad game. And it's a game that it's played regularly in Nigeria, but we used to play it without cards. We just freestyle and play, and people find it a bit boring. And it wasn't family concept in the way it was designed. So we had to now make it a family concept game that you don't necessarily have to drink, and it could contain up to 20 people. And if you're looking for a strategy game, that's a bit tricky. I will recommend Village War and Battle of Adrika. Those are two. Village War is not yet on the site, but Battle of Adrika is there. So those two games are really strategic. So Battle of Adrika is a make-believe world of what would have happened if the Berlin Conference in 1884 wasn't successful. So it would have been probably a war of colonials, scrambling for Adrika. So it's a make-believe world. So there's a lot of strategy, and we recently did the expansion. But there again, there is also Village War. Village War is crazy. I've never worked on a project than that. It's taking everybody, everything, and it's a sequence. And we've done 1, 2, 3, and 4. And it's about the Igbo mythology, but we mixed it with fantasy and then history. So it's a journey of the Igbo tribe, Igbo race, up till the present time. And so we're actually looking forward for Village War to come out. So that's what I would recommend. But if you're sporty and you like dexterity, I would recommend One Touch.
Okay. And what would you say is because I think one of the great things that you're doing is that you're actually, making these games with that you're sourcing it locally, right? You're getting these made in Nigeria, correct? Or are they getting made? And do you have?
So yes, we make them.
Yeah. So where do you get, for instance, for game designers that are probably listening or watching or listening to this podcast, would be like, how did you come up with 26 games? Oh my goodness. And then the other thing is, the question is like, where do you find the designers for this? Now, is that who helps, like actually from the graphic design perspective, like who actually, looking at your battle of the Battle of Adrika, for example, who designed the pieces? Who designed the artwork for that? Where did you get those from?
Okay. Okay. I work with different. So the whole thing we are trying to do is hopefully kickstart an industry, and I would outlive all of us. Yeah. So for that to happen, we need a lot of independent people to not take the vision and begin to run with it. So what we do is I try to involve as much people. Once I see your work on social media and I like it, I'll send a mail and say, okay, sorry, and I say I want you to help me with something, and then we'll talk the price and we'll sign things that need to be signed, and then we'll work. So so far we've worked with 8 different people across the whole games, and then for some that are basic design I do myself, like Hot Alive, Look, I just do them myself. But the ones that need illustration, I have to outsource it to people and pay them. And that's because we want them to understand the what is the word? The things that we can work with, because we also make games. So they already are the first conversation I will have with them, they have no idea what we are talking about. But the second time is easier. And I can now also recommend people to any of them. So it's easier. Oh, I want to design stuff. Do you guys design? I said, no, we don't do graphics, but you can always take it to this, and this. So we've worked in the past with spoof comics. Spoof comics is spoof animation. They do animation and comics as well, and they are based in Lagos. So also the organizers of Lagos Comic Con. It's been running for 9 years.
Wow.
So yeah, Lagos Comic Con. And then also have worked with people like Felix, Shegun. So they are all basically different designers. So for me, for designing games, for me, I think people around, I don't know how it comes. To be honest, it's a burden, because we have over 16 prototypes that people are already playing, but I don't have access to some of the resources, so I can't play them. They are still inside my head, and sometimes it's just, if we can make it, we must make it. Everyone around me knows that, because I can't sleep, and if I can't sleep, well, we are all not sleeping. We have to get this game done, and everyone has to see it. I can't. So people are having conversation, and in that conversation, I'm just thinking of the mechanics to match whatever they are talking about. And like I said, in Nigeria, there's so much content. There are recorded over 400 tribes in Nigeria, and now that's the one that is recorded. I'm sure there could be more that we don't know about. And that 400 means that these are potential 400 stories. And then if you dig deep, those 400 stories could divide to countless more stories. So for instance, now, there's a game we're working on about hawking. Now, most people in, say, Western world might not understand what hawking is, at least in the 21st century. But I mean, I see hawking. I saw people hawking yesterday. And so it's easier for me to develop a game. So I think maybe it's because the contents are just there and it's so overwhelming, and you could just create stuff. And I have a support system that could easily make them, make the prototype, and we see it. So we don't have to go look for a company that do that. So what I would tell a new designer is this: I'm not sure the resources that are around you, but once you recognize the resources around you, literally out of anything, we use pencil to play one touch before we go to a carpenter to get a stick. So I use the resources, and I focus more on people to play it than making it, because I know that eventually we'll get there. There are a lot of our games, games like Luku. I think we've done the packaging over 4 times. So if you see the first one in 2016, it's different from the second one in 2017, 2018, 2019, and the latest one now. So when we have new information and we have access to more resources, we go back to our games and we already know those things that we agree that we're going to change if we can change it. But our focus is more on getting people to play it, getting people to play it. We go to cafes before we had ours. We go to schools. We go to IDP camps. We go to anywhere and everywhere. We try to scream it. We literally try to focus on people to play it and people to know that it's possible to design a game than doing the whole making it look as amazing as it can be.
So you had so a lot of these games that you've created though, you play test you basically you just play test the heck out of them until they're ready for production, correct?
Yes. So we play it. You can, and it's easy. You can go to the streets. There are pictures of. I'll just go to the street. I'll see children. I'll say, "Oh, there's a new thing," and I'll open it and we'll start playing. And for me, I'm watching them, and there's something that always happens. People want to win me. I'm not sure if I should say this on the live TV. Sometimes I have to feign that it's so painful that I lost, but within me, they are winning, but I have to create some, and do some drama stuff. But I'm happy that they are winning in the game, and people also are trying to hack the game. And it shows that they've understood the basics, and now it's the hacking that comes to mind. So yeah, we try to test run it, and having the cafe makes it easier. We have people that would always try to test run it. So when people come to the cafe, I try to ask Tobena, okay, can you try to introduce these games and know the what we are getting from.
We had how is it to kind of introduce board games as well to folks that might not be familiar with them?
So I think the concept of board games is very, very, very common in Nigeria. It's so common that in 2015, Nigeria won the World Scrabble competition. And in fact, within 2010 to this year, Nigerians have been leading in Africa. They're making waves in the global competition. And same with chess. And there are a lot of chess competitions and chess clubs in schools. Like, it's almost like a common thing. And then if you go to the streets, you will see elderly people, especially males, playing draft. And you see young people in the shop playing Ludo or gambling with words. So people play games. But they play what they see, right? If you show them this, I'm sure that they play if they can afford it, and most of them if they can relate with it, especially now that internet makes everything more open. People can say, oh, can I try to do our own stuff and all. So I think our challenge is in getting people to play new games, not the concept of gaming. And it makes it harder because now they've tested one and it looks like that is the best. So what we try to do is this. We take fancy games that are really fancy with lots of miniatures, painted miniatures, good artworks, something that if they see, the first impression will be like, wow, is this a game? We hear that a lot. So we take that, and then we also take the easy games, so intro games. So we take some of ours, I will take some also popular ones. So very, very calm game that it's very quick to teach and people can play it. Most times dexterity games before we go into strategy games. So we'll start with dexterity games and party games. So like Pretender, Sunday Colors, Weibo Plus, those kind of party game, Yogi, our class. So start with those very basic, and then we introduce our own basic like concentration, look, they are all simple games. And when they play, they announce the curiosity increases, and we keep talking about like, do you know that there are over 1 million games in the world? It's left for them to verify. So we also say, have you gone to Kickstarter? You see new games coming out every day. Every day, people are bringing out games. Like, it's way beyond the old classic. In fact, now they are modern classic. I begin to show Catan and all the rest. But when they come into the cafe, it's a whole new board game. So they look around and I'm like, whoa, are these books or are they board games? So that's the way we try to introduce new people into the hobby. So we show them shiny stuff, and then we also show them easy ones that they can enjoy. And from there, they now want to go into, okay, let's try Sagadra or Azul, let's try Sheriff of Nottingham. No, now it's more like the simple strategy ones that will keep them a while. We've not even gotten to the medium level games or games like Civilization or Talisman, some of the games that we've not really gotten into 21 days because they're still. Oh, but we are getting there. People come in and they want to figure out how to play a game by themselves. And people also come in and they want to host their own friends and they don't want us to, be part of it. They just want to host their own friend. So they come in earlier to prepare themselves and learn games. And for us, that's the thing we are looking out for. And then it's not just us that are doing this stuff. It's not just NIBCARD Games. We also have other people, but mostly in Lagos, that are hosting game night. I know of Game Minister. Sorry, I mentioned these names. It's important that other people also check them out. There's Game Ministers, there's a Game Night Guru. So these people are coming up. And from December last year, December 2019 till today, we've also manufactured 4 games for 2 different designers. So they on their own, they're also using their games to bring in people into the industry as well. So for us, we talk to everybody and everyone, and we show, like I said before, we show shiny game stuff, amazing games that are like crazy. When they see it, they're like, are you sure this is a game? And then we'll now present them with simple party games or simple dexterity games.
Yeah, you're right, because we had when I was there in Niger and Nigeria, they had you'd find the games, as you said, that are accessible but also easy to not easy to learn, because some of them are pretty complicated. Like you said, like some of the card games like Belu, and also I don't know, it's called like the Mancala type games where kids would actually make some holes in the ground and then find some just find some rocks or whatever to play that with. And so that game doesn't have like its own intellectual properties. They don't have to spend money to go out and get that game. So how many of those games have you kind of introduced that you almost to the point of almost like open source in a way, where it's you'd have some of your board games that you've created that you can say, well, you can play this with just things you have around the house. Do you have any of those that you've tried to introduce people to?
Yes, absolutely. Actually, we did one at the beginning of the pandemic. So we released Just Rhyme and also released Luku Luku. So those are games that you can actually make at home and you could play. Like when you mentioned the digging holes, we used to play with our cousins every Christmas. Then when we were small, now everyone is like so busy with life. But we used to dig all those things. And there are so many games we played little that are not even made right now. There's so many of those games. There's one we used to throw stone up and you catch them at so many games. So it just brought back a lot of nostalgic feeling. Yeah, we share our games. Luku Luku can be designed at home and anyone can play it and have fun. And we also released the rule books. Same with Just Rhyme. Just Rhyme is a simple charade party game, but you have to rhyme the word instead of mentioning the actual word. We played it online with Bez. That was about 3 weeks ago. I should mention the video. It was fun. It was really fun.
Because I mean, the point you brought up, so you look at, as I say, NIBCARDGames.com. What's the meaning of that anyway? NIBCARDs. What is that from?
Also, NIBCARD Games stands for Nigerian Board Card Role Play Dice Games.
Okay.
So you see that the A is actually a triangle on the logo.
Okay. All right.
So it's the card.
Huh. And do you see? Because I say if you go into NIBCARDGames.com, you can see that that you have on there also on like your mission itself, and you talk about that is so of creating low cost quality games that can compete globally.
Yes.
Promotion, encourage an active tabletop gaming community in Africa. Publishing, inspire and support African tabletop game designers to create world-class games. So how much of what you do is based off of, as you said, is when you're thinking about designing a game, how much of that is based off of mission of like your passion of like, I really want to make this game, and how much of it is business by saying this game I can sell in Belgium, India, United States? Like, how many of that is do you design your games based off of a game you would love to play, or how many of that is based off of a business sense of this is a good game for mass marketing that I can send all over the world?
I think it depends on the circumstance. So it's never a 50-50 thing. So one is actually higher than one, depending on the particular game and the circumstance. So like I said, my background has influenced a lot of the games we've designed. So I don't focus more on a particular type of. So you could say, okay, Casey designs strategy games, or you say, oh, Casey designs area control game, or I design one particular. I think I don't. I try to go around because the whole market, we don't know what our market wants, right now. So we just want to push out all kind of games, and so that everyone would see something that they feel that, okay, this is something that they can relate to. So we have games that just has to come out. It's not about the money, let it come out. And then we have games that I actually intend that this game be played more by people, non-Nigerians. And this is something that they will learn about Nigerians if they make this game. And then there are games that we sit down and say, okay, what we don't have the resources to make these games this much, so we have to make this little so that we sell to these people. And if we sell to these people, we can now mass produce. And they also have games that have been influenced by, oh, we need money, we need to sell these games, and I know that it will appeal to this region or to this target market, and if we can get it to that market, we are so sure that it's going to help us buy a machine. So I think it's based on the circumstance. There are even games that we design just because people come in and they are always asking for this particular type of game. So they're all different. There is one that we recently did based on a Twitter trend that just recently stopped. I think it's still trending. Now the matter on Twitter since over 3 months or 4 months. So we had to now, okay, let's do a game about it, and it's in pidgin language. So anyone that cannot speak pidgin cannot play this particular game. So I think it's the circumstances that informs. But yes, I usually ask ourselves those questions like, who are we targeting, and do we want to make money, or do we want this to just be there and anyone can play it? So sometimes I try to talk to the team. There are games that are more popular than some, and there are games that they themselves like than some, and there is this bias that it brings in. It's not conscious, but that bias, that prejudice over this game, I'm not sure I like it more. But I try to always remember our role is not to decide for our games which is better and which is. It's actually a difficult question when you ask me which to recommend. It's more of, I keep telling that it's like movies or it's like music. When you hear when you listen to the music that speaks to you, you don't care about what every other person is saying. You just enjoy that music. Or you see a movie. There are people that they like science fiction. There are people that like Bollywood. There are people that like Nigerian epic movie. I think that's how games are as well. There are people that will just probably like area mapping. There are people that like strategy. There are people that like dice rolling. There are people that like card drafting. It depends on, and there are people that go first with the theme than the mechanics. So we just design and put it out there. So the person that it's for will come back to it.
So have you ever, do you partner with like other parts of like maybe like South Africa or Kenya of other game designers? Do you have some kind of network where, for instance, that they will ship over some games for you to for your cafe and you'll ship games over there? Or almost like looking at Irinajo, the game that you talked about earlier. Have you thought about, designing one that's based off of like, say, Kenya, or based off of one that's in kind of like you'd find different Monopoly versions. Like there's a Monopoly for they take that and kind of like localize Monopoly to different areas. Have you ever thought about, is that something that you do as well or thought about doing?
Maybe something that we want to do in the future, but I've not started having that conversation with anyone, and nobody in my team has also started having that conversation with. We've not even started talking about it among ourselves, to be honest. I think we've been more focused on getting the best we can for now with the games, and it's something I'm open to. Like, we have Ticket to Ride, we have New York, we have Europe. Yeah, it's something that we are definitely open to. Currently, we've been in touch with a lot of people, like Aaron Brown from Tabletop Games Cafe. So earlier this year, he wrote to me and he's literally supporting us. He's not earning anything from it, but he's supporting us to get some of our games to people who want it in US. So he started doing the pre-order, and it's really working amazingly. And Board Game Gig also gotten our games, something that it's they've not gotten it yet anyway, but we've almost done with the production, and we're actually looking forward to shipping out these games to them and seeing, when they talk about it, it's good that it gives some kind of credibility, and like, them seeing the games and seeing the quality that we can do at this point. So them talking about it, hopefully it brings out more partnership and all, but we've not started talking about contextualizing the games for other regions.
No, that's interesting. I'm just, so how do you, so you mentioned that, so you have also you have a team, and is it almost kind of like a democracy in how to design specific games? Like, talk us through when you mentioned Iran Ajo, that game. Just kind of give us a situation on how you went from conception in your brain to putting it down. How did you design it? How did you decide even on like how it looks and all that stuff? Kind of for anyone that's out there that's looking at being a board game designer, what are talk us through your process.
Okay, I just want to put this disclaimer. I'm not sure it's the orthodox way of, especially with our realities, but still I'll have to share. And this process keeps changing with time. So the process for Kubwa is different from Iriajo because of either the people around or the things I know at the time. But on average, it starts with conceptualizing, and it's more of playing with. I'm sure that a lot of game designers can relate with this. It's more of playing with, say, 5 game design, 10 game designs. You're mixing them up in your head. One is trying to push the other to come out, but there is that moment that happens, and I just jump out. So this was designed by Iriajo, was designed by Shegun Babalola. So okay, so there is that moment that it clicks, and I shout and I run out from the room. Sometimes may or may not have woken some people up by, say, 1 a.m. just to share the things that someone has to hear this because I can't sleep again. I'm not sure if that happened. But once I share it to the first 2 or 3 people, I just write them down, and then the next few weeks will be playing it in my head, playing with different personas and trying to put them together. But at the same time, there are other games that are still trying to compete to come out on paper as well. So, but when I'm relieved is when initially I always run to Obina. So Obina is a production lead. So we've been working together since 2016. The whole process right now is that I have materials, I have blank boards, I have resources, better resources now. So once the idea comes, I can use what I have now, make it, and it's playable. I have blank cards. I cut some myself, most myself. So I can get people to play it that way. I have markers, I have dice. So, but initially it wasn't that way. It was more of the resources that we find, and I have to run to Obina to make them. So once we are done with this if people play them, we'll make all the changes necessary, and then it's easier for us to just push it to him, and then Obina with the team, they now make the games.
So so if somebody, folks that are watching this, where can they buy your games now? If somebody is, from the United States or in Europe, how they go to your website, and how is that?
Yes. So you can actually go to our website. We can ship to you. The thing is that it's a bit expensive. It's actually expensive. It's expensive. I shared on social media at the time that the cost of shipping our cheapest game is more expensive than our most expensive game. It doesn't make sense, but if people find a way to calculate, the weight of the game, so we also provided the weight of the games ahead. They could get more than one, or they could team up and share the cost when they want to ship. But yes, we do ship globally so far. But
So
and then
it would make more sense if somebody wanted to buy them in bulk, buying like a bunch of your games. So it'd probably be better if they bought like 5 of your games altogether as compared to just one or
5. No. It depends on the size, on the weight of the game. So there's this weight. But what is probably cheaper, we are trying to find, currently we've been talking to different logistic company, and we're seeing other better options. They're not verified yet, so we've not, like, from us, so we are trying it now. So if it's successful, it will change a whole lot of stuff for us, and we will not hesitate to share it to everyone. So if that happens, we'll probably see our games being in US or UK. That way it's easier. It's even cost effective. So it's still on a trial run for now. But so far, if anybody really wants to get our games, they can also order directly from the website, and they will get it.
So I just did some math on this, and for folks that are wondering, I'm looking at for instance, some of your more expensive ones that are 9,000 naira, comes out to $23, $23 US. So
Yeah.
So it's very affordable for the folks that would, here in the United States, people will throw down $60 for a board game. So, and I guarantee, and I was saying earlier, that if you take one of your games and bring it to any board game convention, you're going to have people surrounding you to ask you, where did you find this board game? I've never seen this. This is amazing. So,
thank you. I'll share with it.
I mean, because
I'll share this compliment with the team.
Yeah, I mean, because there's you can see it itself that the amount of creativity and the amount of passion that you put into these, it's definitely shows. And so, what would you say then, Casey? What would be some advice you would give to some budding game designers who are looking at trying to do something on Kickstarter, who is trying to do, or just has some games that are just on a piece of paper right now that they haven't been able to write down? What's some advice that you would give them?
I think to trust the community. So I think trusting the community kind of gives you a sort of liberty to do stuff and be able to learn and grow. If you trust the community, I'm not sure you have a problem sharing your design process, because I think it's gotten to a point that there's so many information, that there are so many games out there. People are seeing a lot. And now people want to see the creative process. People want to see that. I recently had a conversation with some amazing people in the industry, and they try to, people want to know that it's what human beings that actually design these games, and it's actually a human being that worked on the graphics, and it's we are human beings that tested them, and it's we are human beings that edited the rule books. If you can show that process, share when people are play testing it, build a social network that are aware of what you're doing. I think it's good. It's not just for the Kickstarter, but people can also give you opinion. There are a lot of our games that were named on Facebook. A lot of the games were named on Facebook, and then a lot of the games were not named on Facebook. So what that means, like, I could have given them this name, but people said, no, this is the reason why I shouldn't. Even though I didn't pick from the one they choose, but I had to start rethinking because they were giving genuine reasons for not naming it that. So, and it's opened up. So there was a recent one that things around meeples, and I had to now find out the whole origin of meeples, and it was because I had to share that process. So I think that's one advice I will share with designers. Most of them, other advice, they could get it on Google, but people are always afraid of sharing because they think people might steal their idea. But if you trust the community will always know that, oh, you've already started speaking about this social type, and there are pictures about this that you've been talking about. I think that for me worked because in 2015, it felt so lonely designing a game, but when I was in an environment of people that valued that, there was this energy that it kind of gave me. And then when I now put it on Facebook, a lot of people were like, are you sure you want to do this? Because it was an unknown environment. I'd never joined any board game group, but I just posted on my timeline, and I used hashtag board games. And that was the first like, and that was just how I started seeing more and more groups. There's so many groups that I've gained a lot from comments and posts from those groups. But it all started with trusting that there's a community of this. And now that I'm very, very aware and I know some people, the trust is even higher. I could share anything I want to share, and people would help make it better than put it down.
How many times have you actually done had one of your games play tested where you really liked an idea, or you really liked a format in the game that people who play tested it said, get rid of it, this is bad? How many times have you had to had to get rid of things that you really liked in a game just in order for the game to work better?
To be honest, I don't count anymore. And it's 50% chance that it's going to either stay or be removed. And it depends on the personal approach. There are people that just want to stick it on your face that, hey, this is bad. And I just called it out that this is bad, so this should go. I'm like, I'm not removing it. And some, it's more of pride that the one's talking about. After a while, I know that this is important to change, and I make the change. But some, I understand. For some, I understand from the person's perspective, and for me, I'm not just thinking from one perspective. So it's more of different personas of people, different outcomes that can calculate that it's possible for me to calculate. And sometimes I just weigh the things, to be honest. When people talk, I want to know, is it from their own selfish way they want to hack the game and win, or are they trying to prove something, or are they actually genuinely making a contribution? Some, they're making it genuine, but the knowledge base is from kind of not updated, or they're actually not from updated side of knowledge base. So there are things that they are not aware of. So that's why they are sharing this opinion on things. So, but a lot, especially the winning part, when they win me, it's like,
So what would be one thing that you would tell a designer that you wished you knew like 15 years ago?
there is production, then there is promotion, then there is the actual designing. And in each of those sectors, I've learned something that I've developed. Of course, in my designing, it's more of I'm more bold now in the mechanics. So for some of the design, I'm actually scared to add some stuff, add some mechanics, or to work out with 4 or 5 mechanics in one game. So in the earlier games, it has to be one kind of mechanics. But now I think I'm getting more bold, and sometimes I allow the story dictate the mechanics of the game. So so it's the story that is detecting it. So I don't start with the mechanics. That means that there are multiple mechanics that I'm using in one game because of the storyline. In production, I think what we know now, if we started our production in 2016, well, that was when we published the first game. But if the first game we made was the game we made today, it's like every day these guys are doing amazing stuff. Like today, we just finished some games for a client, and it's good. It's for me, it's good, and I criticize every day. Even when I'm aware of our realities, where we can print that okay, these are not machines that are folding or cutting; it's actually human beings, and these are people that they've been doing it since 2016. You know. But if I see what we've done today, I'm really proud. It's like each year I'm becoming a bit bolder and more proud about our production. So if the things that I would have changed in terms of production is like everything. So then when it comes to promotion, it's still from the cafe. One thing I would have changed in the cafe. I think we're on a good trajectory. I think we are growing. There are a lot of people coming, and on Google you could see some reviews. You could just type NIBCARD Games Cafe and you'll see people sharing their own reviews. So I think it's good. Though the pandemic kind of slowed a lot of things this year for almost everyone. So yeah. Then for the convention, what we are going to change, and we are so definitely changing it for the next convention. We are not sure about this year yet. We've not made any announcements. But what we are going to change is the whole feel, especially in the crowd. We'll be looking for smaller crowd now and focus on wooing those smaller crowd so that they hopefully will become ambassadors and go out to talk to people. So I think that's the center of this, the next convention we are holding. It's at most 100 people, but let these 100 people have a feel about almost all the games, and let these 100 people, let it start a network of some sort, independent network that I probably will not even join, well, so that they in turn will start coming to the cafe and talk to other people, and then we all hope for the next one that is coming. So maybe that one will explode. So all these years I've been trying to get numbers, and it's not been working the way it should. But for the next one, it's more focused on just small number.
Right. Good. Well, so Casey, where can people find you if they want to learn more? NIBCARDgames.com.
Oh, yes, NIBCARDgames.com. All not all social media, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn, Facebook. So just use NIBCARD at NIBCARD Games. You're going to see us there.
Okay.
NIBCARD Games.
Well, all right. Well, thank you, Casey. This was a quick hour, so appreciate it. All right. Well, thank you very much, Casey. And then we'll try to get you on, later once you have your Village War. I'd love to talk to you more about Village War when that comes out, when that's published. That sounds amazing. Yeah. Cool.
I'll look forward to it. Just like we were talking about, I actually look forward to it. Village War is a game I'm actually looking forward to come out. I want people to play it. It's we introduce a lot of people to the Igbo culture, the origin of the Igbo. And you're not just reading it, you're immersed in it, you're playing it. So and it's war. So 5 villages, and these 5 villages all represent the 5 Igbo states. And these are communities that have stayed before the pre-colonial period, and it's just crazy. And there are masquerades in the game. So, and masquerades are rare in board games. I've not seen a masquerade again. And then there are priests and priestesses with their powers, and there are animals that Igbos revere. There are just so many things about the whole. And he actually exposed me to a lot of things I didn't know about my own culture, to be honest, because I had to do a lot of research, and I'm looking forward to Village War. And the artist was good. You could just search the hashtag Village War. Felix did amazing work. Like, we quarreled a lot. Like, no, you've not done this thing, Felix. Time. And Felix, I don't play with my job. I have to take time. I pushed and pushed. He will come over, we will drag, we'll make decisions. He goes back and he listens. He's good.
Yeah, cool. That's awesome. All right. Well, thank you very much, Casey. And we'll look forward to maybe doing a deep dive on Village Wars when that comes out. That sounds fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for also reaching out.
Yeah, you're welcome.
So once I go to Obina, initially I would be like, okay, there's this game, I need the prototype. We need to play it. So those were how we used to do in 2017, 2016, 2017. But it has changed now, but that was how. So Obina makes the prototype, or thank God, Obina.
Nope, maybe we lost him. All right, we'll wait. This will be the part I'll edit out. So let me, while he's getting back, there is a way for anyone to actually buy these games. You can actually register, you can actually create an account, and as he was saying earlier, you can buy any of these. So anybody who's listening, who's watching this from any parts of the world, you can actually purchase these. And here's the other thing: do not get freaked out over the price, because that's actually the price there is in Naira. So 6,500 is the Naira equivalent. I think it's I'll have to look it up, but it's actually not that expensive, comparatively speaking. So that's something to also think about as well. So that if you're looking at like the price wise, and these games are incredibly unique. You're not going to find these anywhere else. So that's also something to keep in mind. But yeah, other than that, I think it really is they're amazing games. So check it out. I'll add it. It's NIBCARD, and they have some, as I say, Casey has created with his team some very unique games that I guarantee that if you go to any type of board game party, or going to any type of gaming convention, you pull out one of these, you're going to have a crowd of people coming around you saying, I have never seen this game before. And as Casey was saying earlier, he's all about trying to pull in it's what he's trying to do is really create some a culture for folks. And as I say, I think if you look at, I'll share this again for you all to see what the mission is. And as he said earlier, it's, the mission is, creating low cost quality games that, and encouraging tabletop gaming in Africa, inspiring and supporting African tabletop gamers. So he has a really good crew of folks that he wants to kind of put people into. So, all right, he's back. Here we go. Welcome back.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine.
Sorry. And so right now it has changed. So I don't know what you heard last. So but